Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's the Jade Gemini. This afternoon I am super excited to finally get to bring you a review of this little guy right here. This is the RovyVon E5 Angel Eyes. Today we're going to go ahead and be talking about a lot of this features, as well as what I like, what I love, what I dislike, and if it applies, what is rubbish about this little light, as well as kind of go through a ethos of what you would use this light for. A lot of different lights are specialized for certain things, I'll go ahead and tell you some different things about this light and some usage that was kind of interesting that I got when I was building this review. Before doing that, let's go ahead and get some size comparisons out of the way. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get some common EDC knives that people might have. So this is a Benchmade Bugout, very popular knife. Mostly you've either held one or you own one. So this is sort of a, larger size knife, not a full size like 3.5, but right there in the middle. And this is a 93 millimeter Pioneer sized Dutch Army knife from Victorinox. And if you're not into knives, but you're looking for a good flashlight and you're checking out this review, let's also get some things that the common person will probably know the size of. This is a AA battery. So here's the width of the light compared to a AA battery. So as you can see, not super duper wide. And here's what it is with this size. And then what you kind of see hiding inside there's a AAA. So go ahead and kind of get that kind of stuff out of the way. So with that all out of the way, let's go ahead and jump right in. So one that's easy to get out of the way, and it's probably one of the ones I always start with, is let's put that under a different category. Sorry. First thing I like about this is the emitters that are actually in this light. This light comes with a lot of different options in it. It comes with a 6000K more sort of blue option, or it comes with a 4000K sort of neutral or slightly warm option, which is what I have here. So the beloved 219 Nichia. Sounds the same when I say it on camera, which is what's kind of funny. But that is what is in here. So this is a pure white, and like almost all Nichia 219s, beautiful pure color, maybe even has a little bit of a tint of rosiness to it, or clarity. So absolutely an amazing emitter that is in this as well. The next thing that I really like about this light is the pocket clip. It is super just easy to go ahead and get in and out of the pocket. It just slides over your pants. It goes ahead and nestles really easily in the pocket. Has a pretty deep carry. It could go a little deeper, but I'm fine with where it sits on the light itself. Really, there's no real big complaint here at all when it comes to the pocket clip. And we'll even talk about some more features of the pocket clip later on when I'm talking about overall design. Really, I'm just wasting time here. Oh God, here we go. So there is so much to love about this light. So the first thing I love about this light is one thing I've been really getting into with lights, as I've said over the last couple reviews, is this sort of idea of dual fuel. Take, for example, one of my favorite lights that I have, this HS05. So this can take a 14500 battery. I have this Olight one that I had kicking around, and it works perfectly in there to make this thing have 1000 lumens. But if the power ran out, which definitely made a lot of sense because here in Florida, we just ended up having Hurricane Ian come through. And You know, it ended up kind of missing us here in Tampa. I mean, some people had their power out. Some people down south had it a lot worse. And, you know, my prayers go out infinitely for those people. But to try and, you know, reel it in and bring it more in the sort of form of EDC, getting that out of the way. With this light itself, see, it did this before, which is weird. Not a big deal. I just have to kind of move it around. But anyways, the cool idea is this dual fuel, getting the idea out of the way. There it goes. So with this light, it kind of takes that idea of dual fuel and flips it on its head a little bit. So with this light, you actually have a chamber that can put a AAA battery inside. So as you see, I have a rechargeable Duracell, you know, in there. Nothing crazy, anything like that. But instead of the dual fuel being a 10440, which some of you might be thinking, the dual fuel actually already comes in this thing. So it actually has a USB-C, which is also a bonus, that you can plug in and charge this silver guy in here, which is a lithium-ion battery that is built into the light itself. So, out of the box, this thing will power right on. So, when I just turned it on, it turned green. Now, what's cool is you can actually switch between which modes you want to go ahead and use. So if you go to moonlight, which is just one tap, triple click, it turns blue. Now I'm on lithium ion mode. So depending on how you like to run your EDC, you can run on the lithium ion mode, and then if it dies, but you don't have time to charge it, you could go buy a AAA, throw it in there, and get the rest of the day done. Or you could run it in there all the time and have more power, and then it switch over the other way around, which we'll go ahead and talk about how that interface all goes ahead and kind of works, some of the versatility and some of the qualms of it. But as a core, I love this idea so much. The idea that you have a battery with you, but then you have a physical, easily replaceable battery. And it's not hard to go ahead and take out. You simply just push the head down barely, you pinch here on both sides, lift up, and then you rotate it towards the pocket clip on the back side and push your finger there, and then boom, the battery comes right out. And as you can see, the blue just came on. It's operating even though this thing is open. So that is definitely something that is just so cool, and something that caught my eye as something that a lot of other companies don't seem to really be doing right now. Just simply push down and push down. The next thing is this light has actually been really robust. I was kind of, when I first got it, a little bit scared, you know, that maybe things wouldn't seal up, there wouldn't be a amazing water resistance, or, you know, again, that this light would just, with the clear casing or something, get really easily scratched up, dented up, and, you know, through the uses that I put it through, you know, doing a lot of different things, you know, if it can survive a hurricane, it's pretty tough, right? So even though it, like I said, definitely didn't get the full hit, we definitely ended up having some really heavy rain, really heavy winds. You know, I ended up using it outside, you know, intentionally kind of moving things in and out during that to go ahead and, you know, get some usage out of it, which I'll go ahead and throw in some different reels here and there so you can actually see that. But it's definitely durable. The next thing I absolutely love is just the design. It just sort of has this real high-tech design with it that I personally really like. I like being able to see the insides of everything. Kind of reminds me of the old Nintendo 64s, my old purple Game Boy Advance, you know, or something like that. The, you know, Halo Edition Xbox that I had that was green, right? There's just something that's cool about the clear that really does it for me. It also glows in the dark, which anything that, you know, is illuminated is ultra cool, hence tritium there. So that's really cool that that's able to do this. It also creates a really useful feature that I love, and another light source that you can use. So in a lot of my videos, I talk about the fact that I like there to be a moonlight mode, which this has, a focused moonlight mode with a beam, itself, a TIR lens that it's using to produce that beam downrange. But it also has a complete secondary set of lights right here, which is why this is clear. So this button, you actuate and you turn on this little tiny light right here. Push it again, it gets brighter. And I was using this throughout the storm. I was using this navigating my house. I was using this going ahead and doing some little projects, adjusting my watch. I would set it down, on the side, kind of work on things. You can also kind of set it down like this, whichever. It really doesn't have any sort of problems. It also does tail stand okay. I mean, it wobbles a little bit, but it's still definitely doable. So if you want to tail stand and point the main emitters up, you can't have them on at both times, but you really don't need to. And at first I thought, well, it might be a cool option, but I've found that this is so intuitive and so extremely useful. It's not just a parlor trick that you show off. I use this every single day in this mode. The other thing it has, if you double tap, you actually go into a red light mode, which again is one of those things that until you have it, you might think, do I really need that? But it's so useful. There's so many situations, where you can end up going and using this, navigating around the house. I don't want to, wake up the kids and have light creep out from under the door. So this is definitely better. Or my toddler has been waking up since we removed his side rail and knocking on the door at like 1 p.m. saying that he's hungry and wants a snack. Last night I didn't know where this was, so I used this, and even though this is 2700 and this is about 1 lumen, this was really kind of straining my eyes because I literally woke up from the dead of sleep, and I was thinking to myself, man, I wish I had this. This would have been so much easier. And the thing is it does get really bright where you actually can use this. And we'll talk about that brightness some more. Also, if you double click, you can see that there is a sort of blinking on and off mode. I really like this after going ahead and finding out about the Sofrin having the beacon mode that was so useful for camping. So this kind of fits into that ethos where now it's not only an EDC light and not only sort of like somewhat of a work light, with the side, but now you have something that if you took camping with you, you could hang this on a tray or something with some paracord and walk off, half a mile away or something, and just see this strobing behind you to guide you back to campsite or something like that, or put it on a log somewhere where it's secure. It's just really, really useful. Another thing is if you tap it once, now you have this sort of emergency mode, which is really great. I could imagine if it's early in the morning, you're going to work, or late at night, you pop a tire or something, you have to go to the side of the road, you can just sit this on the back of your car while it's jacked up, and this is going ahead and alerting anyone that's coming near you, hey, something's going on, there's this flashing light, sort of reminiscent of an emergency vehicle or a police vehicle, catch their attention to, sort of veer off and keep you safe. So I really like these different ideas that they've implemented into the light. Next thing that I do love as well is the UI they have here. Now, at first, I did not like this because it's so backwards to the way that your normal sort of Olight based, and I say that because this definitely has basically a Olight based with some plus features on the way that it works. A lot of us start out on Olight, so that's kind of what we think is the default, and a lot of lights do work that way as well. So you press and hold for moonlight mode, and then you press and hold again to cycle through the modes. This is not how this works. If you press and hold, it goes right to turbo. Max lumens. Definitely don't want to do that if you're trying to activate moonlight mode while in the room trying to feed your baby at night, which is what, again, I use a lot for. So you definitely have to kind of learn. You tap 1 time to get into moonlight. You tap 3 times in moonlight to switch between the battery sources. You press and hold to turn off in any mode. So you just gotta kind of remember that. For regular flashlight, you double tap. And then it has a memory, so it has low, medium, high. Now high is the same level as turbo. So there isn't like a high and then a triple click for a turbo. It's just like low, medium, and then the highest setting, which is also your turbo if you click the button and flash on. It just makes it kind of easy, and I kind of like that it's not like there's this like, well, once in a blue moon emergency turbo mode that I might use. It's just, you end up using it. And also on that point, I love the fact that on that turbo, it doesn't really get so extremely hot. This aluminum up here does a really great job, and naturally the body as well doesn't really absorb any sort of heat, being this like polycarbonate, plastic. So that's really nice as well. But back to the modes, you triple click, you get a strobe, and then you just press to press off. Now, as you can see, I was holding there, and it doesn't show that it goes into a different sort of mode. So that's something we will talk about. Also, as you can see, you kind of triple click to get into that. You press and hold, and it doesn't turn off like all the other modes. Now, this is a little inconsistent. It might be because if you were like in a panic mode or something and you press, they want you to, to not be able to turn that off unless you intentionally just tap one time. So not really a big deal for me. And then 4 clicks to go ahead and turn it into the lock. And when it's locked, the blue light flashes multiple times at you. And then you just 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it turns green. It doesn't turn the light on, which I do like that, because so many lights, you click and then it puts it on the last mode you have, which could be bright. This just lets you know with the green light, hey, I'm unlocked, but it doesn't necessarily turn the light on. So I think that's really smart, in the way that it works. So those are all the different things that are really amazing. The other thing that I do love is just sort of the way that this is designed. It was someone I just watched really recently. It was Cedric and Ada, his channel. He was saying flashlight should just be square. He had that O light with the laser pointer in it, and he was just talking about how convenient it is. And having this, I didn't know how I'd like it compared to this, but it is so true. There's so many times that I'll just grab this and I'll set it on its side, and it's not walking around, it's not wobbling, it's not rolling, and I can actually use this like this, which headlamps are actually my favorite style light, because you can just sit it down and project a beam in front of you without any sort of issues. So this has that same sort of advantage, but it also has the advantage of just using the light like a normal light, whether you're using these grip pads like this or sort of like that, and going ahead and also getting some distance with the throwiness of the light. So that's something that I really, really do like as well with this light. So those are all the things that I do love about the light. The last thing on that design as well is this pocket clip. And because of this side mode here, all throughout different times of working through night, and walking around, looking to see how things are looking as limbs were falling down in my backyard, things like that. I clipped this onto my jacket, or I clipped this onto my shirt, and it hung down right below my shirt collar. And because of the square design, unlike something like this that rolls back and forth and you can't really direct, like, even though it's a headlamp, you have to use like a headlamp mount and take off the clip, which is annoying because I don't like my stuff really scratching up taking off the clip. With this, it just sort of stabilizes, since it has this clip and it has this big, wide, squared area. So you put it on, and then it's perfectly mounted on the front of you. It's really, really useful. And, I found myself, again, just using it more and more like that, where I had both my hands free. I could completely guide myself with this light and have no sort of problems whatsoever doing so. So there's just this full package where it starts becoming this work light, this standard EDC light, sort of this outdoor light as well, this sort of like backpacker light, because if you run out of juice in the regular battery, you have this. It just, everything combinates to have like every perfect situation that I could think of. This would be the light that I would take, other than tactical, right? Which I'm not personally trained in that. So, in a situation like that, I might try and shine it in somebody's eyes and run away, which I think is kind of the smartest thing anybody should do anyways. It's the last thing you should ever think about is, getting into that, unless it's the absolute last option that you do have. But we're not going to get into that. Like I said, I'm not trained in that, but that's that. So that's everything that I love about this light. Moving into some things I don't like about this light. So the first thing that I don't like about this light is a problem that a lot of lights have when you talk about dual fuel, and that is brightness. So the moonlight on the front here, no matter if you're in the AAA version or the lithium version, 1, 2, 3, turns to blue, now it's on lithium, it stays the same. So I do like that. And it is a low moonlight mode, so I do like that a lot. But the problem that I have found is that the side modes change. This gets a little tiny bit brighter. And when you're talking about low lumens, a little bit brighter is a big difference with how much light it produces. So when, again, going to the situation with feeding my baby, if it's on the lithium mode and I turn it on, it's probably too bright. But if it's on the AA, it's just low enough where it's good, right? Or this body is so good, you could even, charge it up and then turn it off, and then just let this, you guide around the edges of your room or your door handle, or place this on the bed, and it's enough light to, again, keep my newborn up, but not so he gets the bottle fed, but he doesn't fall back asleep because it's completely pitch black. So it's sort of a perfect balance of that. But I digress with that. What I'm talking about is the fact that the low mode's a little bit brighter, and this is way brighter. This is so much more light that comes out of this on the lithium mode than the AAA mode. Same thing with the red. The red mode before, you could look directly at, and it shine in the room. This is getting a little bit where it's not hurting your eyes, but it's pretty intense. And then this is like really, really bright. So again, it's sort of that situation where, I would almost want there to be that consistency across the board. I do understand why, but it either gives you could look at it in two minds. You have more options available to customize your light control, which I always love, but it's one more step to say, okay, I'm in this situation, I want the brightest light possible, let me change over to lithium mode, that way this is the brightest light, or I'm working outside and I'm going to be walking around and using this as my main light, so let me change this over. Okay, now I'm indoors, let me go ahead and change it to the AAA mode because I'm going to be feeding the baby and walking around my house and cleaning, I don't want there to be extra light going in. So it's like you kind of have to think where you are. Now luckily they've thought of this, and if you just press and hold this back button, it'll tell you what mode you're on, but doesn't turn on any sort of lights. So I do like that, but still, same thing. You actually get about 200 lumens, 300 lumens out of the AAA, while on this mode, you get 900. So it is really, really bright. You're getting up around those sort of, batons, S1, R2, S2, R2, baton 3, those sort of lights that a lot of people, are looking at in this sort of range of the light. So that is one thing to kind of keep in mind that I, do dislike about the light itself. The other thing that I do dislike is the fact that this is plastic fully up here. So it's kind of intuitive to take this and sit it down like this because you get more room off the table, or whatever surface you're working on, which is going to cast the light out further. But if you do this enough times and it moves back and forth, as you would, if you sit anything down, there's little micro movements and stuff, this would scratch up over time, which you want to kind of keep that as clear as possible so that you have the best light transmission possible on this light. So I find myself instead just setting it down on its side, which is a fix, but again, it lowers the sort of axis of that light, and again, it's just one more thing to kind of think about that could have been changed. The other thing is with the pocket clip, which you almost would certainly want to use. You could use this as a keychain light, no problem, but it goes ahead and makes it where this little tab is just barely out of the way. So I've kind of had to learn how to grab this sort of like that perfectly with your nails. Once you get sort of used to it, you know how to do it. But at first, I like tried for like 5 minutes, and I'm like, how in the world am I going to get this thing out to charge it? So that is something that you have to kind of keep in mind with this light as well. Realistically, the only other thing is this isn't the highest water resistance. This is IPS 6, which again will kind of a full-on rainstorm. I mean, again, I was using it out in a full-on rainstorm with Ian and everything like that, and it survived no sort of problem, but no sort of submersion IPX8 or anything like that like you could with this. So if you put this in a backpack, sorry, and then it fell, into a river or something, mileage may vary as far as if it survives or not. I've heard somebody say they accidentally washed this thing in the washer and they put it in a bag of rice, and it took the hit on the chin and just kept going. With the build quality or anything, I wouldn't be surprised if this is a little underrated. But again, that is the official rating is IPX6, not IPX8. Full water immersion. It's just full sort of showering and sprinkling on top of the unit. There is nothing rubbish about this light, so I kind of ended up coming to my conclusion with this light. This light is almost perfect, and it is easily my favorite light I've ever had. I've given it some time to kind of let the newness wear off and definitely use it. And I just continuously find I enjoy so much to carry this. Whether it is the fact that it is lightweight, the fact that it is glow in the dark, that's useful, the fact you have all these different options, the fact that I know if I run out of battery, I have a backup, and I can just put another AAA in there. Also, the fact that the way that this light throws, I think it's actually only about 100 lumens on the AAA is what they said, but that surprised me because I have lights that are 200, like ray lights and stuff, that don't even feel like they have the light transmission of this. And it might be because the beam shot of this is all sort of beam shot, and there really isn't any light focused on the secondary, but that's fine because it is a pretty wide emitter, and also you have these as real flood options as well. So this is the side-by-side by one of my favorite lights, and then of course the RovyVon E5. So this Sofrin uses a LH351 Samson, and these are known to be quite floody, but as you can see here, if you follow my hand, right about here, you can already start seeing the hue of color change my hand color. There's a big flood that is on that as a secondary, and then you have a defined hotspot that clips in. Now, what's unique about this is that it basically, until right here, doesn't start changing my hand color. Only about now does it actually change right there and then there. So this light has basically no flood, or if it is, it's literally like 15% light transparency is here, and then all the rest is focused here. So kind of an interesting beam pattern that it's so small of an area as far as flood, although it is a little bit of a wider still hotspot. So kind of interesting. So there's really no complaint about any part that's major of this light. I absolutely love it, and honestly it was something that I was kind of like, I'll check it out. It seems a little gimmicky or whatever, and I am a true believer, and I want to see more of RovyVon stuff, right? Regardless of the sort of different UI, I've carried it enough where it's becoming, say, second nature, and those accidents and everything where you turn on certain things you don't mean to aren't happening as much. And yeah, I mean, the craziest thing of all about this thing is that it is like $45 to $50 for all of this. And then when you compare that to the fact that, like your sort of Olights or, like the new Baton 3 Pro or whatever, which is like the S3 R2, or is what I would probably call that light, or anything S2 R3. That light is like $70 stock if you didn't get it during the flash sale. This light is this price all the time, and readily available to get to you on Amazon and everything. So if This, I can confidently say, if there was one light that I had to carry for the rest of my life, and even my lovely, light like this, or I couldn't get some premium titanium thing to carry, I don't care, because this is just so special and perfect and just fits all those different needs that some I didn't even know I needed, and some that now that I have those tools available, I do use it. And for that, I mean, it's just a home run of astronomical proportions. So, anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It is definitely a longer one, but I also know I wanted to get all these sort of proof of concept and everything like that and have a lot of fun making it. So I hope you guys had fun as well. If you did, please go ahead and give a like down below, as it definitely helps, as well as subscribe, because there is a lot more, all sorts of content coming down the pipeline for sure. So I appreciate you, of course, taking time to watch my little channel, as there's so many other great channels out there that you could click on, and you've decided to watch my little tiny channel over here. Of course, I hope everybody stays safe, especially with everything going on, and have a fun holidays coming up if you do celebrate them, or just any time with family. Everybody take care. Stay safe. Peace.